Puan Nur Sakinah. Puan Nur Sakinah berpengalaman lebih 16 tahun di bawah Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, dan beliau telah bekerja bermula di dalam pengurusan diet ketogenik sejak tahun 2014, bermula di Institut Pediatrik HKL. Dan kini beliau berkhidmat di Hospital Tunku Puan Azizah. Puan Sakinah juga aktif menjalankan kerja lapangan dan memberi ceramah kepada pegawai dietetik sejak ditauliahkan dalam pengurusan diet ketogenik pada tahun 2015. Okey, saya akan stop screen share dan Puan Sakinah boleh share screen Puan Sakinah ya.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. So I'm so glad to share about ketogenic diet for epilepsy here. And thanks to Dr. Sherini for inviting me. Okay, sebenarnya masa Dr. Sumita tanya I, cakap Sakinah, you have homework. Cakap, what homework? The SGMC want to do like a forum, and they want to share about something like KD for public people and all that. So I said, okay lah, boleh lah. So, and they want to focus on, I think focus on the modified Akin KD, right? Alright. Right, okay. So
saya akan belajar dengan Puan Sakinah. Terima kasih.
Okay, so thank you for the kind introduction. Yeah, saya start dengan KD management since 2014. At that time I transferred from Hospital Putrajaya to Hospital Kuala Lumpur. And luckily, I terus masuk ke zone pediatric. So our main client is pediatric patient. And okay, so now I go to my slide. All right. So today I will talk about a little bit background on KD in Malaysia and types of KD, how to start modified Akin KD, maybe common side effect if using KD for long term. And sharing some recipe. Actually, this recipe is from my patient, right? And some common FAQs. All right, so a little bit background on the ketogenic diet in Malaysia. Okay, started in 2006 at Pediatric Institute, Hospital Kuala Lumpur by Dr. Khoo Teck Beng. I think everybody knows him. He's a keto guru of Malaysia, right? So, so later modified Akin diet was introduced in 2009 juga di Institut Pediatrik. At that time, I memang tak masuk lagi. I masuk Pediatric Institute in 2014. And then it was further extended to ICU setting. And our first patient was 5 years patient. That one, we used classic KD at that time, 3:1 ratio. And after that, the ketogenic diet dah start berkembang from inpatient, we do outpatient, from 2 kali seminggu klinik. We start doing every week klinik, every Tuesday the clinic, sebab kita recruit banyak sangat patient sekarang. So now in HTA our clinic, keto clinic run every Tuesday except for the second week of the month, and the clinic is a combined clinic with neurologists, with dietitian and also the keto nurses. So this is our keto team, and this is Dr. Khoo, our keto guru of Malaysia. Dia yang bawa masuk, and then he bring the trainer from India to Malaysia, he buat training to dietitian, to doctors. This is Dr. Sumita. Okay, this is our keto team. Tak besar lah, memang kecil je. So sedikit tentang what is ketogenic diet. So ketogenic diet basically is not a balanced diet like Puan Nurul shared just now. It's very healthy diet. This one is a very contra one. It's not a this is not a balanced diet. Alright, it's a high fat diet, restricted carbohydrate or limited carbohydrate with adequate protein, because our main client is pediatric, so protein mereka mesti kena cukup because mereka adalah golongan yang sedang membesar, right? So this diet is actually designed to mimic metabolic effect of starvation. So bila kita bila kita fasting, bila kita kebuluran, I mean the body will start using ketone as a fuel instead of using glucose. So tadi I nampak macam ada banyak soalan pasal ketogenic diet pop up dekat chat box. Okay, bagaimana ketogenic diet helps in epilepsy and all that, right? So basically the mechanism masa kita discuss with the consultant and all that, mechanism itself memang masih lagi unknown, right? So some say like this, some say like this, but then bila kita lihat basically the under normal situation our body will use glucose as an energy. Of course, the brain also using glucose for the energy. But then, bila badan sedang berpuasa, starvation, kebuluran, all that, and then bila tidak ada glucose dalam badan, badan akan start using ketone, right? So this ketone bodies, study shows ketone bodies can help to control, to reduce seizure, someone, right? And used successfully to treat epilepsy since first described in 1920s. Right. My slide is very brief. My slide is very short. I think not like Puan Nurul just now. I think very many slide lah. Tapi I punya memang sangat sikit. Right. So this is types of ketogenic diet. We have 4 ketogenic diet and some country they have 5. Actually boleh lah jadi 5 pun. Sebab ada satu ketogenic diet they call modified ketogenic diet which contain lower ratio like 2:1 ratio, like 1:1 ratio, they call it modified KD, right? In HTA usually we do this for classic KD which aiming for 3:1 ratio or 4:1 ratio. So biasanya orang akan tanya apa 3:1, apa 4:1 ratio. So 3, kalau tengok dekat sini 3 ni is actually fat, 4 is fat also, and 1 is carbohydrate plus protein. So since our client is mainly pediatric, so that for 1 ni kita akan the priority is for the protein first because kita nak the protein adequate. The rest, the balance is the carbohydrate. So far okay, yeah? Alright, the second type of KD is MCT KD. Okay, before that, the classic KD, usually classic KD require patient to admit to the ward lah. Kita akan admitkan patient masuk ke dalam ward for at least 1 week, alright? Because we step up the ratio by daily. Kita tak ada bagi bila patient masuk on the first day of admission, kita dah start bagi 3:1 ratio. Tak, because we don't want badan macam terkejut lah, right? Kita akan start by increasing the ratio daily. Let's say patient admit on Monday, so Monday they will start with 1:1 ratio, and Tuesday they akan step up to 2:1 ratio based on tolerance, right? Sama juga dengan form 1. Okay, and then this one memang require patient to admit, so we do inpatient. We start this diet inpatient basically. And for the second type of KD is MCT KD. Sekarang ni ramai sangat patient kami start MCT because it easy to start at our patient at the clinic, right? Because senang, kita ada provide MCT, we provide the plan, start with very little amount of MCT because tak semua patient pun boleh tolerate with MCT. Ada certain amount yang patient it could be like macam dia boleh dapat muntah, dia boleh diarrhea and all that, because tak boleh tolerate dengan MCT. So we start slow. We start with maybe 5% of MCT of the total calorie intake, and then slowly step up after 2 weeks. Maybe after 2 weeks naik 5% lagi, so about 10% until kita dapat achieve like our target 50 to 60% of MCT. Okay, and then the third one is modified Atkins KD. We don't have much patient, tak ada banyak sangat. We don't have many patient on a modified Atkins KD. Tapi ada teenagers, ada yang like 4 years, 5 years patient on modified Atkins KD. Sometimes ada juga yang kita buat hybrid. Contoh MCT. We hybrid dengan modified KD, 2:1 ratio. So we hybrid, kita buat dua-dua sekali. Walaupun MCT KD not required the ratio, tapi sometimes we hybrid, kita plan the menu, based on 2:1 ratio also, right? And then the last one, low glycemic index KD. This is yang paling tak popular lah among our patient. Kita ada previously one patient on low GI KD, tetapi the challenges that we face adalah kita tak ada banyak data on GI food in Malaysia. Ada tapi tak banyak. And then this patient also among for this type of KD, low GI KD ni kita nampak the effectiveness tu macam lambat sikit sebab badan still lagi dapat karbohidrat but low GI, right? So the ketosis level tu tak dapat nak capai, so end up we off the diet lah. Okay. Alright, so this for KD. So thanks to Dr. Sherini because she actually shared with me this slide. Okay. So kalau kita tengok dekat sini, the normal standard diet, the carbohydrate is the main one is about 60 to 70%. Okay, this one is fat about 25 to 30%, and the rest like 15 to 20% is protein. Okay, for the KD, this one is classic KD. Classic KD, so the fat is about 87 to 90% of fat. Okay, this is not 90. Basically, the protein is about 10%. Oh, sorry for the typo here. Okay, and then for MCT KD, so MCT KD, the total fat is actually dia bahagi kepada dua. One is for LCT, one is for MCT. Okay, maybe at the first place, patient akan makan high fat food, so LCT tu akan lebih banyak, but slowly when the MCT percentage is increased, so the LCT percentage will start to going down because we want the body to use MCT, right? And then we want the body to use MCT instead of the LCT. And then the modified Atkins, so here the modified Atkins, the fat is about 60 to 90% range, and the carbohydrate, okay, let's say patient, pediatric patient, if you refer to Charlie Foundation, pediatric patient kita akan start dengan 10 gram. We start dengan 10 gram, but for adult usually kita akan start dengan 15 gram of carbohydrate total per day lah. And the last one, low GI, so this is the portion, 60% of fat, 30% of protein, and the rest 10% is from GI food. So since the data for GI food ni actually tak banyak, kita selalu refer to overseas punya data. Sometimes we cannot compare to our local food, right? So that's why I myself memang jarang sangat bagi ataupun prescribe this low GI to our patient lah. Okay, so ada juga yang tanya, okay, the effectiveness of KD. So according to this study, 50% of patient ada penurunan dari segi sawan by 50%. So for example, kalau let's say before they start KD, maybe they have spasm like 60 times per day. Okay, so after they start dengan KD, akan nampak reduction about 50%. So mungkin akan dapat the spasm, still the seizure still ada, tapi mungkin reduce about 50%. Mungkin ada 20 ataupun 30%, right? And then 30% of patient seizure control reduced by more than 90%, and 10% they have seizure free. We have some patient yang seizure free but dalam few months lah, and then after that dia ada recurrence balik because of because the illness itself, dan juga mungkin because of dia tak sihat dan sebagainya, like fever, demam dan sebagainya, so the seizure come back. Okay, so if you are talking about KD for adult, so basically I nak claim dekat sini sebab main client is pediatric, so I have no experience in terms of KD in adult lah. Okay, but we have we receive some requests from the HKL, I mean the adult side, to start KD in their adult patient lah, but they want in ICU. Tapi untuk like counselling untuk start modified Atkins like this, kita tak pernah buat lagi lah. And what happened to the adult patient in ICU, we started with classic KD juga, because in ICU, the patient was on tube feeding. So we start with classic KD, but since due to intolerance, so kita off after few days. And according to John Hopkins, ini antara pioneer KD. So they start adult epilepsy clinic 2010. So recent study have shown that this modified Akin KD lower seizure rate in nearly half of the adult that try it, and usually within a few months. So like I claimed just now, HTA experience kita memang tak ada. We only do KD among children for now lah. Because one thing I rasa kat Malaysia pun not many dietitian has been trained with KD management also. So kita pun tak banyak, dan I don't think banyak hospital yang start, tapi ada a few hospital dari selain daripada HTA, there are few hospital yang start KD management. I think maybe Penang, Hospital Kota Baru, and MUA, so ada few people also, they also have KD clinic. Yeah. Okay, so how to start modified Akin KD? So firstly, bila patient datang, this one in terms of I punya circle lah, I mean the client is pediatric lah. So usually bila patient datang and we want to start the Akin KD, firstly memang diorang kena get familiar with the carbohydrate food group. Apa jenis carbohydrate, like nasi, like tepung kan, sebab kadang-kadang dalam makanan yang proses, tepung ada added kat dalam tu. So just get them familiar with the carbohydrate food group first. And then for the calculation, just make sure they kira tu adalah the net carbohydrate, dia tak termasuk dengan fiber. This one usually kalau kita tengok dekat food label, food facts tu, nutrition facts, dia akan tulis total carbohydrate dekat situ, and then biasanya total carbohydrate dia akan include sekali dengan fiber. So we just take the net carbohydrate, no need to take the fiber lah. Okay. And we also ask patient untuk record dia punya food intake. Satu adalah just nak tengok whether they are on diet track or not lah. And for the nutrition goals, ini sama macam pediatric. For adult and pediatric lebih kurang sama, cuma the carbohydrate tu kita lain sikit. Untuk fat intake still sama, about 60 to 90%. Untuk protein, because they modify Akin, the protein unlimited. Okay, and then for carbohydrate, like I mentioned just now, carbohydrate for pediatric patient we start at 10 gram per day for the first month, and slowly kita akan boleh up to 20 gram after 1 month. For adult, sometimes we up to 30 gram per day, depends on the compliance also. Okay, so the dietary guideline, kalau nak start dengan modified Akin KD, usually we advise 3 regular size meal ataupun 4 to 5 kali smaller meal lah, makan sikit. And memang kita advise them to eat a lot of fat, banyak, macam butter, heavy whipping cream yang sebelum ni maybe diorang tak pernah masukkan dalam diet, even mayonnaise, olive oil and other veggie oil. We have a list of, macam sebab kita ada buat juga market survey, kita tengok food facts, which brand yang ada lower carbs, ada yang banyak, ada yang additional sugar. Contoh macam mayonnaise lah. Sorry to mention here, contoh macam mayonnaise Kraft, Ladies Choice if not mistaken, dia ada additional sugar. So kita tak advise, and then macam mayonnaise, sometimes people they tend to buy, because this diet dia nak makan lama, so they tend to buy yang dalam paket-paket yang orang jual burger buat tu kan. So that one ada additional sugar. So usually kita akan recommend the specific brand. Contoh kalau kita dah buat survey tu, kita memang nampak yang paling kurang is like Kewpie yang warna merah tu, the mayonnaise yang Kewpie warna merah tu. So we have we have a list of high fat food in the market that patient can go and buy lah. Okay, selain pada tu ada olive oil and other veggie oil. And then carbohydrate allowance per day mostly come from high fiber vegetables. So tak ada, biasanya patient on modified Akin KD memang tak ada, jarang ada fruit. Kalau ada pun the berries lah, macam blueberries, strawberries, but certain amount. bread, rice, pasta, crackers, dairy product other than cheese, cream or butter. And then macam dalam diet tu, dalam pinggan usually memang tak ada nasi, basically akan makan, nampak macam makan lauk je lah, lauk and veggie. Right? Just like Atkins diet. Cuma untuk KD for epilepsy, walaupun dia nampak macam mimic Atkins diet, we have to take into consideration the total carbohydrate per day. Okay, and then we also advise patient to read food label, macam Puan Nurul cakap juga, always read food label. But here to read food label sebab kita nak tengok one thing, the net carbohydrate, sebab dia perlu dimasukkan dalam the total carbohydrate allowance per day. And then kita juga nak ajar to investigate, to identify is there any hidden sugar, sebab kadang-kadang dekat food facts tu tak ada tulis but the ingredient kat situ, dia tak letak sugar, dia letak sucrose, dia letak maltodextrin, letak corn syrup, maple and all that. So nama-nama lain bagi sugar tu kita akan prescribe, it's not prescribe, we give the patient the list lah. And also try to avoid gravies like sauces, salad dressing, sebab usually dia akan mengandungi tepung, sugar ataupun cornstarch, especially the gravies. Okay, this one kalau kata dapat kita dapat beri pada pesakit, because macam saya cakap tadi, carbohydrate source dalam 10 or 15 gram allowance per day tu mainly comes from this high fiber vegetable. So this high fiber vegetable masih lagi contain carbohydrate. So this list bila kita bagi pada pesakit, mereka akan pandai untuk plan the menu. Okay, apa nak makan masa tengah hari, berapa gram, so dia calculate for one day punya total carbohydrate. So it's very helpful for the patient. Okay, then not to worry sebab kita masih ada lagi food to enjoy. I rasa kalau makan lauk pun still enjoy, sedap, because kita masih lagi boleh makan fish like tuna, salmon, sardine, boleh makan chicken, turkey, itik, puyuh dan sebagainya masih lagi boleh enjoy. Okay, oyster, lobster, squid, shrimp semua boleh enjoy, all the protein food lah. All meat, beef, pork, ham, bacon, lamb, telur kan, scrambled egg, fried egg, omelette, semua tu kita masih lagi boleh enjoy. And this food memang sedap and bagi kenyang. And cuma kalau patient eat processed food, eat processed meat like sausage, nugget, crab stick and all that, memang kita minta mereka always refer to the food label, food packaging to see the nutrition facts, whether ada tak additional sugar, additional flour and all that. Okay. So when you ask me, if you ask me what is the common side effect, okay, kalau patient on long term, okay, kita mungkin akan nampak even after few months, kita mungkin akan nampak pesakit akan ada penurunan berat badan. Tetapi if let's say patient tu at the beginning dia memang tak overweight, slightly overweight or obese, actually is a good for them also. But then if patient is before start the diet dia memang underweight, kalau dia lose weight, it's not a good sign. Kita memang kena kira kalori balik. So that's why kalau kalau nak start KD, memang you have to work with your dietitian closely untuk kira kalori whether cukup ke tidak. Okay, some patient may have increased their blood cholesterol, total cholesterol. Mungkin ada juga yang increase TG, alright. Okay, so bila increase TG, apa yang kita buat? Usually kita akan tengok balik type of oil yang dipakai. We try to reduce apa-apa saja fat, macam saturated fat. Kita akan try to reduce that one first. Kita try to modify the diet dulu. Okay, so far kita tidak ada lagi, because my client is pediatric, kita belum lagi kita bagi ubat untuk turunkan kolesterol. Kita belum prescribe lagi. Yeah. Okay. So and then occasionally they change to this diet, dia akan result kepada ketosis state. Okay, that ketosis state ni the first 1 week, 2 weeks tu biasanya patient akan rasa tak sihat. So patient tak nak makan, tak nak minum, because badan biasanya dah dapat sugar, dah dapat gula as a energy, tapi badan try to adapt, try to use ketone bodies as a energy, so patient akan ada rasa sikit tak selesa. So for all this reason, modified Atkins diet ataupun any type of ketogenic diet should only be done with physician supervision and with dietitian. So here, I rasa macam I buat cepat je. Oh, okay, almost time. So ini I share some of the menu yang provide ataupun cooked by my patient. So this is Adina, Amira Adina. She's on modified Atkins. She's a teenager, 16 years old. Sebab dah lama kan, dia memang dah lama on this diet. I think sejak 2014, I join, I take over. So dia memang dah start on this diet, this modified Atkins diet. Okay. So dia memang tahu nak masak apa, dia memang tahu apa nak makan. Okay, cuma the problem dengan remaja ni sometimes memang dia ada juga cheat tu, bila orang lain tidur, orang lain tak perasan, ada je cepat je tangan tu ambil. So teringin kan, remaja teringin juga. And then so these are the food yang memang dia masak sendiri, like crab stick, sushi, sini apa wrap patty, egg pizza, keto muffin. So luckily you are lucky lah kalau dapat parents ataupun patient yang very committed with the diet, yang timbang, yang rajin nak timbang, rajin tulis diary, food diary. So very lucky sebab mereka memang sangat committed dan you akan nampak the result better and better. Okay. And ini juga antara makanan yang dia share, pizza, sausage. The base is tepung almond. Tapi tak banyak lah, tepung almond plus dengan egg white, and then ada konjac mi tiao. So konjac food, okay, for patient modified Atkins sekarang pun dah available in the Shopee. Okay, konjac is actually a soluble fiber, dietary fiber. Okay, it can be taken by this patient. Okay, the patient boleh ambil sebab the total carbohydrate itu memang sangat sikit. Like kalau beli dekat Shopee one pack, or later I show you macam mana dia punya rupa. Satu pack tu the total calorie is about 20 to 40 kilocalorie. The total carbohydrate is less than 1 gram. And then bila dia dietary soluble fiber kan dia bagi rasa kenyang, so rasa lebih puas. It's like gelatin, it's like jelly macam tu. Dia ada noodles, dia ada mi tiao, dia ada rice. Also, so patient lebih enjoy makan, just like makan nasi goreng biasa, tapi kita pakai konjac rice macam tu. Okay, okay. Ini pun modified Atkins made recipe from my patient. Apa dah tak ingat dah, but this mom memang sangat committed. Memang kalau masak pun dia memang dia susun atur the food tu memang very cantik lah, nampak sangat tasty. So basically meat. And this one cheese, this one is the first one ni adalah cauliflower rice dengan meat and some veggie. Ini adalah I think meat loaf ni dengan some egg and juga mayo lah. And okay, Malaysian food. Okay, biasanya kita kalau raya, okay, they want to enjoy raya food also. So we have keto sate. Okay, sate ni senang je nak buat. Okay, you just ambil ayam, you just potong dadu, marinatekan dengan daun ketumbar. Okay, daun ketumbar, peras sikit lemon juice and put some black pepper and use butter masa nak bakar. So very tasty. Kita dah try. Okay, very tasty and very easy to prepare. And you can actually enjoy keto sate dengan almond butter sauce. So this almond butter sauce, some groceries dia ada yang available almond butter yang dah siap. Okay, just look at the food label lah. Okay, ada juga yang nak buat sendiri. Tapi bila nak buat sendiri, you perlukan heavy duty blender sebab dia perlu hancur kan. You just add almond. Okay, you just add almond and add some veggie oil. You just blend. So blend and then overnight nanti dia akan keluarkan dia punya oil. So dah boleh jadi almond butter. Right? Ramai sekarang ni yang buat sendirilah. Sorry. Okay, so almond butter sauce ni, apa yang kita masukkan ada almond butter, sesame oil, corn oil, almond cincang, garlic, ginger and sikit cuka lah nak bagi taste. So you can still enjoy. So this serving give you the carbohydrate around 8 gram. So this one I memang saja kira ratio. And also nasi lemak. Just now I nampak macam nasi lemak kan. Okay, we still can enjoy our nasi lemak, our Malaysia food ni. So kat sini instead of using nasi rice, the normal pasta, normal rice, kita pakai cauliflower. Kita pakai cauliflower tu gantikan dengan nasi. So you can still use santan, you can still use minyak jagung, protein, ikan bilis, telur, cucumber, sliced onion, garam. So this is konjac rice. Okay. So this one is a konjac rice. Mungkin some of you dah pernah tengok di Shopee. Widely used among people who want to lose weight lah. Biasanya ada beberapa brand. Ada konjac rice, ada konjac noodle, ada konjac mi tiao. Okay, in Indian dia orang panggil ini as a miracle rice. Okay, nasi ajaib. Okay, so this nasi lemak, okay, give you a carbohydrate around 5 gram bila kita guna with that recipe lah. Okay, right. So that's for the recipe. And frequently asked question ini tak banyak sangat. Ini apa yang terlintas dekat fikiran tadi. I try to masukkan this morning. Okay, ada yang tanya, is this diet healthy? Okay, this is not a balanced diet. It's healthy for certain people, like for epilepsy patient. Okay, so people on this diet usually prescribe with vitamin and mineral supplements. Sebab kalau long term, sometimes we can see patient ada nutrient deficiency like hair loss dan sebagainya. Okay, so they need physician supervision lah, memang kena datang ke klinik untuk buat follow up, untuk kita lihat, ambil blood test untuk tengok any deficiencies. Okay, alright. So that's why kalau you tanya boleh tak this diet buat sendiri dekat rumah. Boleh buat sendiri, but biasanya patient or person on KD mesti kena jumpa doktor dengan dietitian juga regularly, right, to make sure kalau kanak-kanak, to make sure their weight and growth are normal and have blood test done just to see any abnormality. Kan macam tadi cakap, kalau kata long term on this diet, you may have your blood sugar, blood cholesterol tinggi, TG tinggi, right? So kena tengoklah all the blood tests. So second question, will this diet make them have a heart attack with all of that fat? Okay. In the beginning, memang fat level dalam saluran darah maybe increase, but since the body using it, okay, for fuel, and later on dia akan come down over time. So don't worry. Sebab kita tak nampak lagi patient di HTA yang ada heart attack with this diet. So far no. Yeah. Okay, so this portion are really small. Won't they be hungry all day? Betul. Biasanya memang patient akan cakap sikitnya diet, before this makan macam banyak, tapi bila convert to start KD diet, the portion looks smaller. Okay, betul, sebab it contain high fat. Kita tahu high fat like 1 gram give you 9 kilocal. So even you makan small portion, so the calorie is actually adequate for you. Okay, high fat food have a lot of calorie, right? Walaupun dia small size. So they keep you feeling full for a long time and leave the stomach very slowly. Dia paling lambat nak kosongkan perut lah. So dengan fat diet ni, masih boleh kenyang. And then the ketone from the fat diet, also the new fuel also makes you feel less hungry. Akan menyebabkan rasa kurang lapar. And then what age group suitable for KD? Tadi I nampak baby with epilepsy sesuai tak on KD. So to be honest, the youngest patient memang kita start 3 bulan. 3 bulan, umur 3 bulan kita dah pernah start dengan KD, tapi that one type adalah the type is classical KD lah. We aim for 3:1 ratio macam tu. Okay, dan sekarang patient yang paling eldest adalah berumur 25 tahun. Agak lama juga. This one also on classic KD 2.5 to 1 ratio, tapi dia dah lama, lepas beberapa tahun tu dia dah buat sendiri, but they maintain with the diet, off diet, tapi dia monitor themselves lah, buat sendiri. Okay. Cuma like once a year datang for follow up just to check blood test and X-ray and all that. Okay, I think I'm done with the presentation. Okay, mungkin I nak tengok the chat box for any question.
Thank you Puan Nur Sakinah for spending your time this morning for that very insightful talk. You know, at the beginning of your slide, you kata about the percentage tu kan, yang MCT, LCT. I think people were asking previously, like, you know, what do you mean by MCT? What do you mean LCT? And what sort of food you're talking about MCT and LCT? That slide
Oh,
there.
okay. Here, right? Okay. Okay, alright. So usually patient on MCT diet, kita akan provide mereka dengan MCT oil. Sebab jarang, memang kita jarang bagi food yang ada MCT, sangat jarang. Yang ada MCT pun biasanya macam minyak jugalah. So we will provide the MCT oil for the patient, ataupun sekarang Malaysia dah ada MCT powder. If you notice, kita dah ada start MCT powder. So that one I found out that lebih tolerance, lebih tolerated by the patient sebab dia dalam bentuk powder. So dia boleh add dalam dia punya minuman, dia boleh jadi pengganti susu, right? So the MCT datang daripada that kind of supplement lah, that kind of food, MCT oil ataupun MCT powder. So LCT ni adalah minyak ataupun fat selain daripada MCT tadi, like butter, like veggie oil, like maybe cheese. Yeah. Okay.
So this MCT oil, by the way, you can actually get it from quite few shops actually. Someone mentioned about Jaya Grocer has it. We have a small shop in SJMC also sell it, and I saw one bottle like that is about 30 plus ringgit or almost 40 ringgit. But I don't think you have to use that a lot, right? I don't know, like maybe for children not, but maybe for adult, the amount of fat you have to take is depending on your body weight as well, right? So you may be needing a lot more than the children.
Yeah, true. It depends on the total calorie needs per day. And if you want to start MCT diet, maybe in adult mungkin boleh start straight away like 10 or 20%, because I think mungkin lebih tolerate berbanding dengan PITS patient lah.
We have a few questions here. Well, let's start with from Azizi. How old is the youngest patient that start on keto diet, and do keto diet need to take in consideration other illness before begin treatment for epilepsy? For Puan Sakinah. You're on mute, Puan Sakinah.
Yeah, alright. So okay, just now I mentioned kita punya pesakit yang paling muda adalah 3 bulan so far. Okay, so what kind of consideration kan? So usually apa yang kita buat di HTA, biasanya doktor akan buat assessment dulu. Let's say kalau pesakit epilepsi, antara kriteria pemilihan, because not all epilepsy patient kita start on KD, we start with KD, right? So kita ada beberapa kriteria. So let's say kalau pesakit itu kita sudah start dengan anti-epileptic drug. So let's say kalau dia tak respond with the drug, tidak ada improvement, and then if let's say the drug, the doses kita dah increase a certain amount, maybe maximum amount ke, tapi still lagi tak responsive, so ketogenic diet is one of the option. Yeah, and mungkin kalau kata pesakit juga is not sesuai, is not suitable for maybe surgery, epilepsy surgery, so KD is one of the option lah. Okay.
So, thank you. So I think the other question in that is that before kita nak start ketogenic diet ni, ada tak sesiapa pesakit yang kita rasa not suitable to be on this diet lah, you know, like for example, if to start off, especially in adults, if they already have a very high cholesterol to start off with, like you say, if they already have problem with being underweight, so that might be a challenge to start on this drug. Is there any other illness that you rasa can be a challenge or contraindication for you to start ketogenic diet?
Okay, since kita tak ada experience lagi among the adult patient, tapi kalau let's say pesakit, we assess patient dulu. If let's say pesakit ada selain daripada, because this diet, the success of this diet is actually sangat-sangat berkait rapat dengan compliance, right? So kalau pesakit tu sangat ready, I mean ready untuk change the diet is okay, because ada patient yang dia dah biasa dengan nasi and all that, dia susah tak nak makan nasi, especially the Malaysian kan, banyak makanan yang memang ada sugar, banyak makanan yang memang ada carbs. So sometimes this patient bukanlah yang sesuai lah. Kalau even dalam pediatrik pun kita lihat kalau pesakit ni terlalu banyak makan karbohidrat, and then if let's say the parent also not committed, so this one mungkin tak sesuai untuk kita recruit as a patient. Selain daripada tu ada illness, so far like you mentioned just now lah, Dr. Syahrini. Yeah.
So sometimes I think kalau you have kidney disease as well, because I think ketogenic diet can predispose you to get kidney stones and all that. So if you have chronic kidney disease, then maybe it's not suitable for you to go on a strict Atkins or modified Atkins because of this reason. So there are a few things that you need to discuss with your doctor, with your underlying illness. That is illnesses, but like like Puan Sakinah said, illness is only one of them. I think the important thing is changing your lifestyle. You saw the example of the recipes that being given. For children, maybe it's slightly maybe easier because someone is doing the cooking and all that for them. But for adult, like, you know, you get a lot of influence from your peers and going out, you know, you have your own mind, and maybe sticking to the diet can be a bit challenging. There's another question. Was there another question about the ketogenic diet, is it?
Can I ask Sakinah?
Yeah, Nurul.
Yeah, sure.
Sakinah nak tanya, you mentioned that you do have experience of handling one adult case in ICU, and you put the patient on classic KD, right? But it only happened for a few days, then due to intolerance, and you have to stop the feeding. Can I know what formula that you use for this patient in ICU?
Okay, so this patient
Because sorry, in our setting kita ada ketonia, but ketonia is basically meant for peds, yeah. And then kita pun ada MCT oil, memang kita guna untuk peds. But sebelum ni kita ada ROS, carbohydrate tu, apa nama? RCF, yes.
Yeah.
We used to have RCF, but RCF ni sangat susah nak dapat kan. So kita I think is that, I'm not sure whether Ebert discontinue ke tak benda tu. So
Ebert
can I know?
Still continue, yeah.
Okay, so can you just explore with us macam mana yang case yang adult pakai apa tu KD diet tu?
Okay.
Yeah, what product?
So that patient after few days kita dah off. So macam I mentioned tadi, because classic KD kita start with the lower ratio, like day 1 ratio, 2 ratio. So this patient I think sampai dekat 2 ratio dia dah off the diet. So untuk formula we modified a bit the calculation based on peptamine. We use peptamine plus MCT oil, yeah. So to get the ratio, so kita kira the total fat and all that untuk dapatkan that kind of ratio. Yeah.
So peptamine and MCT oil.
Yeah. The mixture of these two.
Why you choose peptamine, if I can ask?
Because peptamine has high percentage of MCT as well.
Okay. All right.
Because we want the MCT oil, because MCT dalam kajian show that MCT can produce more ketones. Yeah, that's why we focus on the MCT in the product. Yeah,
it's quicker to be converted to ketones, right? Yeah, the MCT. Yeah. Okay, we have other questions as well. So I open the question to all three speakers now sebab tadi ada some glitch. So okay. Maybe we ask this question to Kam. Okay, how about zero calorie with aspartame, and I'll combine this with stevia as well. Nurul has spoken about sugar semua tu, so maybe Nurul and Kam can talk about the using stevia. What's your comment on aspartame and stevia?
Cool. Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to answer this. In terms of gula, kita tahu banyak sangat nama gula. Macam tadi pun someone Nurul tadi. Nurul mentioned regarding about types of sugar kan. So rakyat Malaysia atau manusia lah, basically we want something delicious at the same time healthy. So we started from gula biasa, then kita ada buah-buahan, fructose, then kita ada honey, now we have stevia. So there's many other types of healthy sugar. So what about dengan stevia? Is it okay ke tak okay? Kalau ambil dalam moderation, it is okay. Sama macam buah-buahan juga. If we ambil gula daripada buah-buahan, fructose, it's okay. But in amount yang banyak, very high possibility is not good because we can get fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver. So to answer the question regarding about stevia, kalau nak letak sedikit untuk rasa, it's fine. But if you assume that stevia is sihat, I'm just going to consume in everything, then it's not good lah, because it is to be consumed in moderation. Dalam Coke Zero juga, I do have numbers of client kata, coach, okay, so since kalau Coke Zero is 0 calorie, can I drink Coke Zero every time? Like in terms of calorie wise, sebenarnya ada, tapi terlampau sikit. It's actually trace calories terlampau sikit. And how the body metabolize the gula daripada aspartame tu is different compared to sucrose and fructose. So masih ada, cuma tak boleh broken down macam gula biasa. So my advice is, kalau you are depriving, like betul-betul nak minum gula, you're restricting yourself away from sugar. Once in a while tu sebab you gian sangat, boleh lah. But don't assume because it's 0 calorie means it's bagus. Don't just look at the calories because calorie hanyalah unit tenaga tau. So in everything, electricity, unit tenaga kita panggil kilowatt. Unit tenaga untuk gas kita panggil cubic meter. Unit tenaga untuk nutrition we panggil calories. But it's not the absolute answer kepada kesihatan. So macam tadi pun disentuh tentang pemakanan kan, phytonutrients. Like we have to focus more on the nutrients instead of just the calories. So if you want to take stevia, go ahead, but in moderation. If you want to take fruits, go ahead, but in moderation. So my answer regarding about stevia, kalau nak guna boleh, but in moderation.
Okay, thank you, Kam. And Nurul, what do you think? Because you were probably getting like diabetic patient referred to you and they said, no, doctor, I'll just take stevia and I'm fine. So what's your comment on those, the diabetic patients that replace them with sugar with stevia?
Okay, thank you Dr. Syarini. Sama macam apa Kam cakap, yeah, everything is in moderation. Okay, just to let you know, in our setting, we use aspartame for diabetic patient, yeah. The one that we serve for diabetic patient. Okay, so again, we don't serve sampai 4-5 paket satu hari, you know, just one sachet a day, and then we educate them the right way to actually use the aspartame. Ya. Aspartame ni kita realize that kalau you guna dengan hot water, it will give you after bitter taste. Ya, macam you buat your coffee, your tea, hot boiling water kan, ada bitter after taste. So kena pakai lukewarm water sikit, and it's not meant for cooking. And again, you know, education on the right way is basically to enjoy your food naturally. Tapi betul lah kalau orang newly diagnosed diabetic, you know, you biasa makan benda manis, tiba-tiba tak ada benda manis. So you can use all these artificial sweetener as an option. But eventually, you know, to enjoy kita punya makanan with the natural taste lah. Itu yang the ultimate goal. Yeah? Okay.
Thank you, Nurul. Okay, the next question is that how about if we like to eat salad bowl with Thousand Island or other sauces like garden salad where we buy from supermarket? Is it healthy food and good?
Yeah, okay. It's consider apa tu healthy lah makan salad ya. Tapi kita kena tengok dressing kita macam mana pula ya. Janganlah kalau kita makan salad tu dressingnya bersalut penuh dengan sayur, dah lain cerita lah ya. So just a drizzle of your dressings, you know, any dressings pun just go moderate ya. The most important thing tu kita nak dapat the right serving of kita punya vegetables ya, the salad ya. Sekarang ni banyak dah you dapat ready made salad already available. Even I think kalau dekat dekat SGMC tu Dr. Syarini yang sebelah Just Fruits tu. Family Mart. Family Mart pun ada kan. Easily available now salad. Ya, boleh. Ya. But go easy on the dressing, ya.
Yes, go easy on the dressing. That's right.
Right.
Okay.
Dr. Sharini, can I add something about the stevia just now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so kalau among our patient, the stevia, we actually allow patient to take stevia to replace the sugar, because sometimes patient, the PITS patient, they still want to enjoy the food, right? The drink and all that. We still allow them to take stevia. Maybe sometimes kita ada bagi menu like agar-agar, something like this, so they can add stevia in that recipe. Yeah.
I see. Thank you. All right. Another question. I think this one I can answer this. If epilepsy patient can take durian after take ubat or wait a few hours. Okay. I think we get these questions a lot from our epilepsy patient. Does a diet affect their epilepsy? Well, we've heard today, like, you know, we want to emphasize on healthy balanced diet, but we have a special session on ketogenic diet. But we want to remind you that the reason why we have this session on ketogenic diet, we're not emphasizing on losing weight ke apa. We're talking about specific condition which is difficult to treat epilepsy patients. But generally speaking, diet doesn't really affect someone's epilepsy that much, but we have seen in refractory cases that ketogenic diet can help. So, but if you're asking me general thing like macam does durian make my epilepsy get worse ke apa semua tu, the simple answer is no. But I do believe my patients, and I keep saying this in every forum, if my patient comes and say, doktor, benda yang panas buat I dapat my sawan comes back, like, you know, when I dapat, and it's sort of something that you boleh repeat again. The minute dia buat benda yang sama again, sawan dia dapat. Then I say, okay lah, simple. If that's the case, you avoid durian. But if you makan durian, you tak dapat you punya seizure, there is no correlation in that. No one have proven that durian can actually worsen your epilepsy. Okay, but does it interact with your medications? Just look at the label, whether you're supposed to take it before food or after food. Itu saja. But no, it doesn't really affect you punya medication lah. There's another question here. I think this one is for Puan Sakina. Regarding keto diet, for baby less than 1 year old, what kind of food do you start for them? Blended food or specific formula milk for them for keto diet?
Okay, if patient less than 1 year, usually patient akan start, okay, if in our setting, biasanya kita akan start dengan fully susu dulu, fully formula, with the ketonal, RCF, mixture of active med keto and all that. And then after a few months, if let's say kita nampak the patient ready to eat something, alright, we will start with blended keto lah. So we will give the parents the measurement of the food. So they need to timbang dulu sebelum masak, and then after that they blend lah, and baru bagi pada pesakit. Biasanya kita akan design a menu for the parents to prepare the food at home. Yeah.
Thank you. And then Prof. Lim has got a question as well. Many people take Atkins diet themselves without a dietitian guidance. How are we sure whether they are doing the right diet? Is there a website or guide? So this is for Puan Sakina and also for Nurul and Kam.
Sakina answer dulu.
Sebab my client is pediatric, jarang jumpa pesakit yang datang lose weight untuk Atkins diet kan, tapi actually memang ramai. Even sometimes kawan-kawan dekat pun memang ada tanya juga tentang Atkins diet kan. For me, kalau kata nak start diet, any imbalanced diet like this, okay, kena tahu bila you makan an imbalanced diet is not for a long term, alright? So apa yang kena buat, at least lah kalau tak nak jumpa doktor or dietitian, you do your regular medical check-up dekat lab ke whatsoever, just to alert on any abnormality. That's all lah saya rasa yang boleh advise for this kind of group. Yeah.
Agree, sebab kita dietitian, kita tak ada website yang would encourage, you know, anything which is not balanced. Yeah, but I do agree, a lot of people when they wanted to kickstart, especially if talking about losing weight, they will go on this Atkins diet. Yeah, so yes, kalau you're a young adult, you know, tak ada masalah, no family history, you probably can do it for like couple of months, maximum probably 3 months. Then slowly after that you have to go back to this regular eating pattern, looking at the food pyramid, go on a minimal serving of carbohydrate. And I would agree in terms of blood health check lah, yeah, because most likely kadang-kadang kita takut cholesterol tend to pick up, you know, uric acid pun on the rise, and nanti lead to some other condition pula which we do not want.
Ya, tapi kita tak boleh halang, right? Patient kita
we
memang
cannot,
tak halang.
we cannot,
If they are ready to start the diet,
Is smiling.
boleh. Kita tak halang sebab actually no harm to try also. Sebab this diet memang akan bagi kesan weight loss dengan cepat. So that is a motivation for them also. And then after that baru kita akan advise macam Puan Nur cakap, kita akan balik kepada the normal healthy balance, suku-suku paruh lah at least kan, slowly.
And then probably just on the aspect of losing weight, apart from Atkins diet, kita pun ada juga guna the right kita panggil meal replacement, the right meal replacement that has been established in terms of the studies, in terms of clinical trials, and in SGMC we do have a special product that we use for bariatric cases that when they wanted to lose weight, to kickstart, to put them on VLCD, very low calorie diet. So we will prescribe the right meal replacement. And again, meal replacement pun kalau kita tengok dari segi long term sustainability itulah sangat susah because it's very expensive. So that's why to kickstart you bagi, and then slowly you still need to educate patients on calories, on understanding food portioning, and the most important thing dekat sini, cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, very, very important. Bila patients ada the right CBT, they have the right motivation, then it becomes part of lifestyle, then it's much more easier to combat weight loss or weight management.
I think that will be the challenge, Prof. Lim, managing if we want to apply this ketogenic diet in our difficult to treat epilepsy patients, because we don't have mothers or parents that will come and reporting to us whether their children are sticking to the diet, because we will be solely relying on our adult patient telling us whether they're sticking to the diet. They may tell the truth, they may not tell the truth. Do you practice or would you recommend checking the urine ketone to check if they are actually sticking to their diet, because we are using this for a treatment, so we have to be serious about it, otherwise might as well not start the patient on that diet at all. What do you think? And Prof, you have anything to say?
And it may not be just 3 months or few months. If we are using it for epilepsy in adults, he may need to continue for at least a year or even longer, like in the pediatrics patients.
So the question is, can we do it without them having regular dietitian review? Is this something possible, The two dietitians very quiet. Come.
I rasa masih lagi perlu untuk datang and work with your dietitian, datang and supervised by the physician, because walaupun dia buat sendiri, sometimes the dietitian help them to actually cross check whether the diet is correct or not, whether the website or sources yang mereka dapat di internet, whether is it true or not, is it reliable, tak boleh pakai ke tak in Malaysian population. So I think kalau nak buat sendiri tu, maybe at least you come and get advice from the dietitian. At least you have the menu planning and you have the maybe the option of the menu, then balik you boleh buat sendirilah. But memang kita tak advise untuk buat sendirilah basically.
And then satu lagi pun, in terms of safety, that's one of the biggest aspect. Tapi satu lagi ni, bila you jumpa dietitian, you probably can get your motivational interviewing lah, motivation tu very, very important, because sometimes kalau kita buat sendiri, when nobody tracking, you tend to slack a little bit, kan? So, but dietitian pun akan tengok dari segi you punya compliance macam mana. Probably you not necessarily to come on a monthly basis, but probably 2 months once or every 3 months once, looking at the patient's overall condition macam mana and compliance.
I totally agree with that.
I think we are trying to find dietitians who are willing to see the adult patients.
the challenge, right? Like, you know, to stick to the balanced diet, right? I'm sure Kam talks about it all the time on his live show, how people don't really stick to their diet and they have all those. It's not easy lah, right? Okay. Quick question about caffeine, and then that's probably our last question, and probably we should wrap up. Caffeine, is it, how much coffee are we allowed a day? Should we avoid? I can answer about epilepsy. Well, it doesn't really trigger your epilepsy unless it causes you to have very bad sleep or not sleeping and you're tired. But otherwise, epilepsy not really relevant there with caffeine. How about generally?
1 to 2 cups a day. I'm a coffee person, by the way. So, you know, yeah, it's okay. 1 to 2 cups a day. Shouldn't be any problem. Enjoy your coffee, please.
Okay. So thank you very much. Is there anything else? PM want to say anything? Rosalind, Andrea is here as well.
Yes, can I ask a question? Puan Sakina, very good sharing just now. I just want to ask some simple things. Okay, since my epilepsy is well controlled, okay, but I also think that maybe some of the, just now the menu, right? Maybe is it by following, like maybe take more the protein, lesser the carbohydrate. Is it like for long term, right? Is it better for us?
Okay, I think the jawapan dia lebih kurang sama tadi juga. Okay, for treatment, as a treatment for epilepsy, I would say yes. Tetapi untuk long term, basically macam kita ada mention tadi, you need to see your dietitian regularly and your doctor regularly just to check whether, because this diet, like I said just now, it's not balanced diet. It may have, you know, nutrition deficiency at the end of the day. So you perlu datang untuk buat regular check up. Yeah, so far kita tengok patient with the diet, ada pesakit yang, because dekat pediatric we follow up them maybe 2 years, okay, about 2 years, and then after that kalau pesakit or parents nak continue the diet, they will do their own, but then they have to come, dia akan pindah ke pindah ke klinik lain lah. It's not the keto clinic, tapi mereka pindah ke klinik neuro. They still come to the hospital to do the blood test and all that. Yeah. Is it, am I answering your question?
Yeah, because just now you say your oldest patient is actually 25 years old. So I'm thinking that people as old as me, right? Maybe I will have all the, don't know whether high cholesterol or whatever. So that might not be suitable to start off with, because then you will have other consequences of other sickness, right?
Because that patient may be different sebab kita start dengan classic KD. So if let's say macam you nak start dengan modified Atkins diet, is a different type of different type of KD lah. So this patient memang sama je diet dia daripada dulu sampai sekarang. There's no different. Kecuali kita adjust on the calorie. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Puan Sakina. Thank you very much, Kam. Thank you very much, Nurul. Nurul is at SJMC. If you need to get any advice, Puan Sakina is in HKL, and Kam has his own company. He's got an Instagram if you want to ask questions, and I think he also provides some counseling as well. So anyway, I hope this session really helped all of you, especially in PEM, because you know we also have our own issues with the lockdown and so forth. So we hope we can do something like this again in the future. Better if we can do it outdoor. So thank you, everyone. So hope to meet again in the next session. Check out our Facebook and Instagram for updates on our next forum. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.